What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out to Neo the One, Lost Cat FE, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Mike, Muted, Dick Earth Skeptic, Chris Hillman, NA Literalist, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, Rob H, Burn Fat Till My Stomach Is As Flat As the Earth, Nathan Thompson, The Real Gabster, Windrider, Missouri Bear, Henrik86, Liam Nedrick, Erwin Jennisons, Abraham Mohammed, Dave Rakia Gafford, Naibai, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic936, Life is Short, Fireball X, Felix Hung, TheFlatEarthChannel.com, Texas Mike, Edwin Johnson, Kirsten Smith, Alexander Main, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now we have got at least a couple of people in the Discord server, so I'll raise the mic on them while I set up for today's live show.
You got a soft heart.
Yeah, basically. It's actually a pretty good movie. Oh, gosh. Yeah, but that sphere thing, I don't get it. I see they still keep bringing that up. And I'm like, dude, this is so 2015. The star rotation that you're talking about, are you really this stupid that you can't get it? Well, it doesn't work on a flat Earth.
Yeah, it does. That's why it's working.
Well,
it's a bias. It's a consensus bias because if the pseudo-scientific community believes in the sphere, then it drives the consensus. Now, Black Swan destroys that pseudo-sphere belief, but because there's so much consensus, there's so many people with degrees and alphabets after their name that they haven't. I mean, look how many times we can quote Richard Feynman saying something right, and then the next minute he'll be saying something about gravity, right? I mean, it's like, it's everywhere.
Yeah, I tried to watch Globebusters the other day, and I just couldn't because they were talking about that ether and gravity and gyroscopes, and I was like, oh, I can't deal with this. I just shut it off.
Well, that's okay. That's somebody's pet peeve. That's what they want to go with. Let them. The findings will be there. They'll report the findings, and we could either repeat it in the scientific method, or we can't. You know, if they want to spend money and say things, let them. It's got to be, if it's true, it's going to be repeatable and demonstratable. But I think Nathan has a very simple explanation. If it spins under the gyro, then it's got to spin under a drone, a helicopter, an airplane. Earth doesn't just stop spinning because it's some other object. It's over. We don't have Earth-based Coriolis.
That be correct.
But most of the normies that I talk to, when I say, you know, they tell us, and I say it that way, you know, they tell us that we're spinning at over 1,000 miles an hour at the equator, and where we are here, it's supposed to be about 860 miles per hour. If you were spinning, would you notice it? Have you ever been on a boat? Would you notice just even a little movement?
Yeah, that always gets me because we do. And I think our equilibrium has a lot to do with it. We would know. We would be all out of whack.
Oh, absolutely. Then they'll go into something else that's not the topic, conservation of momentum and all this stuff. And you go, well, what has that got to do with Coriolis? We're talking about Coriolis.
Who's getting whacked?
What? Oh no, he was saying that if Earth was spinning, he would notice because his equilibrium would be all whacked up, meaning he'd feel it and be sick all the time.
I see.
I was just thinking it would have something to do with it. I mean, we have an equilibrium for a reason.
Yes, we do. We are the more balanced side of the argument. How's that?
Yes. Yeah, but that star rotation thing, I can't believe it. It comes up all the time. I want to scream.
Hey, Nathan, I'm going to post a couple of nice quotes. Maybe we can use it as a sounding board. I'll let you know when it's up. It'll be Master B.
Got Master B open, so I'll see it when it comes in.
Okay, I'm going to put it there right now. I was, here it is. I was looking up the word consensus science just to see what I would find. Okay, here's the first one. You got it?
Yeah, it's on screen for the audience.
Yeah, this is Michael Crichton. I think he's passed away, but he wrote, I wanted to pause here and talk about this notion of consensus and the rise of what has been called consensus science. I regard consensus science as an extremely pernicious development that ought to be stopped cold in its tracks. Historically, the claim of consensus has been the first refuge of scoundrels. Don't you just love it? It is a way to avoid debate by claiming that the matter is already settled. Whenever you hear the consensus of scientists agree on something or other, reach for your wallet because you're being had. Let's be clear. The work of science has nothing whatever to do with consensus. Consensus is the business of politics. Science, on the contrary, requires only one investigator who happens to be right, which means that he or she has results that are verifiable by reference to the real world. In science, consensus is irrelevant. What is relevant is reproducible results. The greatest scientists in history are great precisely because they broke with consensus. There is no such thing as consensus science. If it's consensus, it isn't science. And if it's science, it isn't consensus, period. Michael Crichton.
Very sensible, very wise man, that Michael Crichton. Yeah. Doesn't require consensus if you've gone through the method of science because it's empirical.
Indeed. Okay, let's see. I got now. Okay, here's one. All right, peer review. The elite both perpetuate their own ideas and create the next group of elites. The journal referring system is controlled by a closed elite group of people who often exercise censorship that can at times be pernicious to the extreme. The elitism problem in science often results in ideas becoming accepted because of who said them instead of the merits of what was said. Poor ideas get accepted because their proponents are members of the elite group of scientists, and as a result, good ideas may be ignored because their advocates may have poor standing in social structure of science.
Yeah. Excellent. Who wrote that?
I'll have to go back. Yeah, I'll have to go back to find that one. I'll see if I can find it. That's not.
But yeah, very true.
All right, here's Richard Feynman. Now, mind you, these people still have other issues to deal with, like they believe in gravity and other things. But what they're saying here makes so much sense. Okay, Richard Feynman. But I don't have to know an answer. I don't feel frightened by not knowing things, by being lost in a mysterious universe within any purpose, which is the way it really is. So far as I can tell, it doesn't frighten me. I thought you'd like that one.
Yeah, the more Feynman I hear, the more I think he's ace. Yeah, obviously there's certain things that I wouldn't agree with him on. So in case anyone wants to throw a load of Feynman quotes that don't agree with our position, please don't. But by the same token, yeah, that really hits home because the other day we were discussing how I appreciate the heliocentric model and Aaron was in agreement. And my reasoning for saying I liked it was because it allowed me to conceptualize something, even though I reified it into existence. Now, in this instance, he's describing the unknown, not knowing about things, and whether or not that's scary. Well, the contemplation that is the reification of the heliocentric world is scary. Endless vast nothingness where you're pretty insignificant. Bleak. Whereas not knowing is actually quite the opposite. For me, I know it's not the case for everybody. It's very uplifting. It's a world of wonder. Isn't that exciting? Well, I think so. And yeah, that in terms of his phraseology towards fear, yeah, I agree. There's nothing scared. There's nothing to be scared about the unknown necessarily. That doesn't necessarily always hold true. You know, scary cave might have a tiger inside, but, you know, that's use of common sense and logic. But what he's describing in an overarching way is to say that where you may have had consensus view and just so stories, not knowing isn't terrifying.
Yeah, I think he lets in a little bit here when he says, which is the way it really is. And ties it to purpose. So the whole idea is that it's ordered and not chaotic. He feels comfortable not knowing because it is ordered and not chaotic.
Me too.
You want to go through the last one, the Max Planck one?
Sure. Scientific truth does not triumph by convincing its opponents and making them see the light, but rather because its opponents eventually die and a new generation grows up that's familiar with it.
Yeah, that's why I prick my ears when they show you various different stats that show the younger generation are just questioning the nature of reality, whereas before it was unheard of. You know, you might be perplexed by certain notions that they present within the heliocentric model, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you challenged it in school. So where Chocolate and I think you as well, described where we were a little bit rebellious, where certain things were proposed, it didn't mean that we challenged the overarching idea or notion that we were on a spinning sphere flying through a vacuum. That overarching premise or overarching axiom was presumably held true by all of us. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. We'd have been doing this years ago, right?
Yes and no. I think I put it, personally speaking, once I knew I didn't have an audience to voice it, because no one wanted to talk about the obvious lack of spin and water and all that stuff, even at that young age, knowing just the logic of the facts of, you know, I'm not spinning, but no one wanted to talk about it, and it was funner to play football. And however way, I just put it to the back. And that is proven by when I first saw my first flat Earth proof, the third quarter of either 17 or 16. I can't remember what it was. Maybe 16, I think. And as soon as I saw it, it popped up. And I looked at and I told my wife, I said, okay, I got to be careful. She goes, why? I go, something just opened up in my mind that I put back there. I have to go into this trying to prove flat Earth is wrong, because that's the only way. So I came into it. I said, I'm going to go try to prove flat Earth is wrong, which is the very thing I fought everybody against, because that's what I believed. And I said, I have to do it this way because I have to tell the story one day. And so now with all my family and friends and relatives, my wife says, no, he came to me and he said that he has to go this way because when he was a kid, no one listened. Science teachers, biology teachers. He was a rebel when it came to this, and he just kind of packed it up somewhere in the mind, and it just woke up.
That's what happened to me too. I tried to prove flat Earth wrong. Well, my brother told me about it.
Yeah, not a bad way to get into it, Neil.
Yeah, I read because I had an issue with that when a teacher put the water in the bucket and spun it around. Because I was like, but it's not on the outside of the bucket; it's on the inside of the bucket. But then you put it in the back, and you just go with the flow.
Yeah, but that's why I like the show, because it's not in the back; it's right in the front. It's right there. You have to deal with it.
Exactly.
Anyway, hello guys.
Hey, Fletcher.
Hey, great quotes, 10th. Excellent.
Oh, thank you. I thought you'd enjoy them in the audience. You have Discord open. Do we have anyone there too?
Yeah. After some
Okay.
people there.
Oh, we got 11 minutes, so anyone in Discord want to have a lively discussion? Not everybody all at once.
Yesterday on chat when you did your
Hold
re-up
on,
of
Neil.
the show, Nathan.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Hey, M1 Bear.
Hey, good morning. What are you going to say,
M1.
Neil?
M1 Bear Swan.
Yes, sir. Those are excellent quotes you had. Is there any chance you can post them in Discord?
No, I'm not on the Discord feed, so someone else might do it. Or you can rewatch the show like most of us do.
Yeah, it's not in Discord, unfortunately, M1 Swan.
Oh, no worries. I'll look it up. You said it was Michael Crichton for that first one, right?
Yeah. Crichton. And just type in science quote, Michael Crichton. But like I said,
Perfect.
You can read other quotes from them. You can read other quotes from them talking about gravity and other things that we could easily put to their face and say, why aren't you as direct on this as you are on that? I mean, this thing is spread wide, and they don't even know they have some of the very thing that they're fighting. That's why it's cool to quote hostile witnesses, right? Right, Nathan?
I don't necessarily think them as hostile witnesses. You know.
Well, not that they're hostile to us, but that the opposition likes them when the quote fits them, and then we use them because that's their guy.
I see what you're saying. But in terms of their being on the heliocentric side, I just think it's not necessarily their direct field. They won't necessarily put two and two together because it's not a consideration that they're making at the time when they're worrying about something else. So
yeah, I could see that. That's usually what it is.
And it might be the case that when they're talking about gravity, they talk about it in the correct context. You would hope so. You know, talk about it being what it is, pseudo-Riemannian force, space bending, space-time. You know, if you're phrasing it in those ways, you would understand what that means. Pseudo.
I was thinking of one I read where it was no one argues the distance to the sun, 93 million miles. There's no consensus there. How come we don't have consensus there is what he was saying. So I'm saying, wait a minute. Apply it here too now.
Yeah, but as per your first quote, who cares if there's consensus?
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Consensus doesn't prove anything.
I used to use a quote from the late great Margaret Thatcher, your former prime minister. And she said, "Consensus negates leadership."
Good stuff.
Well, that was interesting. Yesterday with Rumpus coming in and going out like normal. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, it took.
But
But it was
has
during
he
the live show. It
attempted
wasn't
to do
actually.
that
It wasn't
Bedford
actually.
level yet?
Wasn't actually during the live show, but he. The point I kicked him out was when he lied, overtly lied. Oh, I don't think I've ever said science. The body of science proves blah blah blah. Yeah, he has. He's said that so many times. Not only that, in the after show. So within, I don't know, 20 minutes maybe of him saying that and me kicking him out, Chocolate found a clip of him saying it multiple times. So just an overt liar.
Yeah, it's got to be embarrassing for most conscientious people.
Has he done that Bedford level test yet?
Again, Flatswood.
Has he managed to do that Bedford level test yet?
I don't know what he's doing with that. I don't know how they beg the question in that one. I haven't paid it a great deal of attention. It's a canal, right? It's flat.
No, he's confused. Pseudoscience. He really believes pseudoscience is science.
It's using water. One of the things they use when they're building stuff to maintain and show and demonstrate and utilize level, and it's a canal. So what do you want? I don't know. I always find it absurd. But there we go. That's just me.
No, it's a very fun way of poking. What, you're going to change the nature of water? Is your test going to change the nature of water?
Yeah, they're making the outrageous claim. They're saying that this canal, full of water that's level, who's making that noise? 10th, you were reading something.
I just flipped the page. You got a good sound system.
Yeah, it's not a good sound system. It's just we can hear you. I have, but that's not the point.
I heard it too. I thought I was going to get blamed for it again.
Man,
just ruins the flow. I forgot what the hell we were babbling on about now.
I got to get better notebooks.
What were we talking about?
You were talking about nature of water and how they're trying to prove it bends.
Right. They're making an outrageous claim that water bends. Right? That's an outrageous claim. So let them demonstrate it.
Not only bends, but it bends into a sphere.
That's an assumption.
Well, no.
By declaration, that's just an assumption. No. Show me that the level water, which is level and used to level things, isn't level. Make that so. Show me. just no. All we'll ever get is a load of begging the question about what a spherical Earth does when you assume a datum point and things of that nature. They won't show me that water isn't level. It is. So that's why I've never really, as I say, paid a great deal of attention to the Bedford level. So what are you going to do? What are you going to use? Levels? What, with water in them? To show it's level?
Well, I know it's Neil already said it. They gave it their best shot with the bucket over your head. That was their best shot, and they look silly doing it.
It's that one in gas pressure out of container. They have to use a container. Can't get around a container.
The whole idea is that they're saying water, due to gravity, bends due to the attraction, the force from the center of the Earth. So that's how water stays on the ball. And you say, well, show it to me. They say, well, here, we'll fill up this bucket. We'll grab the handle, and we'll spin it over our head.
Hold on. No, show you what? That when they assume Earth is a sphere and that water bends around that sphere and finds and maintains its position based on its axis to the centre of a sphere, then that proves a sphere and that water bends? No, that's a whole string of presuppositions they're laying out to make their flat world they actually stand on sphere-shaped. Well, that doesn't make water bend, and affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy is just a declaration that you're going to assume gravity, you're going to assume Earth's a sphere, and you're going to assume the water's bending around it. Well, all those things are just a string of logical fallacies.
So I had 3 begging the question to even before I could start, I had to do 3 begging the question, which I knew I was doing, and I knew you would catch it. And this is the way they argue.
And a reification fallacy with gravity, and the overarching reason for those 3 fallacies, including reification in the form of gravity, is to reify the sphere, which they're declaring at the beginning of the statement. In your case, you're declaring at the beginning of the statement. Neil. Was it Neil?
Well, I think both of us made some comments on it, but I said the statement.
But yeah, it's just a string of fallacies. Water's level. That's the bottom line. Very useful for building stuff.
Oh, yeah. But it's right there in front of us. When they go to the bucket and put water in the bucket and start spinning over the head, say, what? So we live in the bucket with a handle and the water's contained inside the sides? You said the water stays on the sphere that you reified. Why don't you spin a ball on top of your head with water on and see how long it stays on?
Get to the back of the classroom.
That's exactly what it was.
Let's see the headmaster immediately.
The headmaster.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Neil, Chocolate Saiyan, Flatzoid, 10th Man, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome, one and all.
Hey, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning, everyone.
Hello, good to have you all. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge, formerly known as Earth curve?
Not from the Bedford level.
Water's level. Canals.
Lion and couldn't even get it last night of the test.
Any other evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon?
There's no evidence. They keep talking about it.
But
They mark it with an X on a piece of paper.
don't
The geometry was debunked.
don't they measure this?
Go on, sorry.
Don't they measure Earth's surface using Euclidean geometry?
They do, yeah. They'll map out a tangent plane.
Don't they measure?
Tangent being the assumption that, based on a datum, that they assume that they're pointing towards a spherical Earth when they have a zenith. So their zenith isn't necessarily straight down as it's being measured there and then. It's assumed to be off at an angle wherever you may be on a presupposed spherical surface based on a datum.
So first assume, then measure.
Measure flat, yes. Shout out to Alexander. He says 4 more hours. We've only just started.
I agree.
Axial
Oh, you do
rotation.
have-
Oh, go on.
You do have a loyal following.
4 more hours. We've only had 4 minutes. Come on.
Hey, what's minutes and hours with the time-space continuum? Come on, Nathan.
Yeah, it's been bending space time again, Alexander. Thank you very much for the super chat. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Well, it's not from the Earth-based variety because we don't have it. So that's, again, a figment of their imagination.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
What's gravity?
That was my question.
It's a concept.
A reification fallacy, chocolate.
You can't scientifically
That would
validate the
be
concept.
that would be mistaking concreteness. Well, then no,
Yeah.
because the conceptual medium of bending space-time can't be concrete because it's a concept.
Well, hold on a second. They claim it's keeping everything on a ball.
What ball? Didn't we answer that with the first question?
Yes, you did. What about
Actually, Neil, it's keeping everything in a bucket.
Yeah.
any bucket that you swing around your head to demonstrate how gravity works?
Yeah, the one that you swing around because gravity doesn't work. So you swing it around with the sides to it so the water stays in. And it's called gravity.
Not a bloody drop
Heck,
came
it
out of
even-
that bucket, though.
So
Heck, gravity even changes plumb.
we seem to be talking about gravity a lot. Is there any scientific evidence of gravity?
No.
It depends. Some
Definitely
people
not.
say we don't have science. We don't know science.
Well, the audience is more than capable of being the judge of that based on any evidence-based claims that they might actually put forward. Is there anybody in the Discord server who has a firm belief in this thing called gravity and can show us some scientific validity for it? Anybody at all?
Isn't
Hey,
there a
Owen.
downward vector? Don't things go down?
What's your vector, Victor?
Hold on. Where are you right now, Neil?
It's a two-way vector.
Hold on. Where are you right now, Neil?
Upstate New York in my kitchen.
In your kitchen, and in your kitchen presently, how much stuff is going down?
Well, if my counter wasn't here, this KitchenAid would go down. It's stopping it from going down. So isn't there a down? Things tend to go down.
Didn't you?
It's pressing down.
Sorry, that doesn't answer my question. Sorry. How many things in the kitchen presently are going down?
Well, because they're held up by a counter and
Not what I asked. I'll ask a third time, then I'm going to move on. How many
right,
things are
nothing's
going
going
down?
nothing.
Nothing. Oh,
Let me
right.
rip this- let me pull this counter out and this
That's not
KitchenAid
possible.
will drop.
Yeah, if you yank it out, I think I know the cause there. We're looking for scientific validity, and you're asserting as a starting premise that everything's going down. Have you got a kettle? Boil it. Tell me what happens. Stuff come out the top?
Oh, the steam would start going up.
Well, that's not down, is it?
But Neil, are you equating your counter to gravity?
Well, I'm saying I got into this argument with Helio because he seems to think that if the dresser's not there, your alarm clock would go down. It's stopping it from going down.
There's a word for that. Well,
That'd be
words. It's called
Relative density.
fall arrest. So you pick up a ball and you place it on a shelf. The ball is in fall arrest. You've stopped it from descending. So it's not in equilibrium. It's in fall arrest, but it's had to be placed on the shelf in the first instance. You had to pick it up and put it
So
up
Nathan,
there.
it's in static.
So nothing's going down, steam's going up. This isn't really scientific evidence, Neil. Can we move on?
All right, so I don't have any scientific evidence.
We've got 100 people watching, though, to your lack of scientific validity to gravity. Happy days. Please share the show. Very warm welcome to all of you who's just joined us.
Well, he may.
Things are always going down if their density is greater than the medium they're in. And if they can't move down, then they're going to press down.
He may not have.
Whatever's blocking them.
Yeah, well said, Darwin. Correct.
Nathan, he may not have scientific evidence, but he did try a counter.
Try what?
Boom, boom.
Missed that.
A counter. Ooh.
I had a
Counter. Counter argument. Counter top. Boom, boom.
Yeah, that's actually a good one.
Right. Epic. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
But they're unscientific. How you can have an hypothesis for it?
Not ever.
That's what we're asking in Flatsoid. That was the question. Paraphrase back.
Yeah, just dumbed it down for the people.
Yeah, they got a lot of pseudoscience, eh?
Well, they think they do, but they are using hypothesis in the wrong way, are they not?
That's what we're trying to find out on. Why is everyone trying to paraphrase this housekeeping question? We're asking them for any viable hypothesis. So let's just have one. Give us one. If you're an astrophysicist, give us a viable
one
hypothesis.
viable hippopotamus.
Give us a viable hippopotamus.
They think, I'll give it to you. They think hypothesis is sitting down on a chair in front of your computer, listening to iTunes, looking at data and black holes.
No, you don't understand. Time isn't a hypothesis.
Hypothesis is a scientific prediction. It establishes your presumed cause of a naturally occurring effect. A fully formulated hypothesis will include an alternative. That would be your if statement based on what you assume causes the effect you observed at step 1 in the method. That would be your dependent variable, the effect. So if A, then B. If your presumed cause, then the effect you have observed. It also includes a null. If A, not B, i.e. you vary your presumed cause and it does not cause the effect. That, in essence, is a hypothesis, a scientific prediction. Now, we're not asking for the experiment. That would be the actualization of the hypothesis. We're merely asking for a viable scientific prediction from any field of the pseudoscientists.
This is observational science, Nathan. Come on.
You know what's actually kind of funny? I talked about the scientific method, complaining, there was a bother complaining about radio signal rebounds, and I put it again in front of him. Like, you could potentially prove that. Whether it's complete science, I don't know, but you could actually very manipulate a signal, pointing it at the moon and then pointing it away from it. And if there is a difference in the readout, then at least you got a first hint that there is such a thing as some rebound.
Arwin, you disappoint me so much. What's step 1 in the method?
It's not science. It's not.
No, it's not. Check it out. As soon as I quit him, it's not science. Immediately yields. So I was about to ask him what step 1 was. Let's just
hold on. You are very. It's not really astronomy. It's more like trying to figure out something about the lights up there, and you're not varying the lights itself, but you're interacting with it, supposedly, if it's even a thing. Although I suspect that whatever you're going to do with this signal, it's not going to matter whether you point it at the moon or right beside it or in a total different direction. It's probably going to read out the same. But I haven't personally tested it. But this might be sort of science like that.
I love the inflection.
Come on, it's at least varying and manipulating.
You ignored my question.
Owen?
Let me just ask my question again to Owen. What's the first step? What's the first thing you do in this method? Science. What's the first step?
Establish a phenomenon.
Observe a natural phenomenon.
Natural observation.
See something occurring in nature and you go, oh, I know what causes that. Is this occurring in nature? Is this something natural that you're studying here, Arwin?
Are radio signals natural? I think they are to a certain degree.
Yeah,
hold on.
Hold on. This is good.
Can I finish?
Yeah, let him finish. Let him finish.
Yeah, so I'm not literally saying like an antenna with a radio signal in itself, that man-made device obviously is natural. What I'm saying is that radio signals may actually occur on a smaller scale in nature.
Yeah,
say, for example, between ants.
Yeah,
so it is in itself a natural phenomenon.
Right, you can observe it. You can observe it in the sky. Right,
How did you observe it?
Arwin, hold on.
You can sense it. You can pick it up.
Is it ever going to end? Thank you. Yes, you can claim the natural phenomenon is radio waves, right? I'll give it you. So you're going to figure out the cause of radio waves? Is that what we're doing here?
No.
No. Right. So who cares if radio waves are natural or not?
Well, I didn't know Arvin was an ant whisperer.
Let's just get to the end of this. Step one.
I'm a biologist, and insects are very interesting.
That's fascinating.
As well.
Just because you can cobble together something naturally occurring doesn't mean that that's the phenomena you want to be studying in your so-called experiment now. The step that cobbles this is step one. Observe a natural phenomena. See something happening in nature, i.e. man hasn't caused it, because you know the cause then, right? And you go, I don't know what's caused that to happen. Now, there are other steps that we often brush over, which is to establish if someone else has already come across it and done it for you. You do a bit of research before you go on to start formulating hypotheses for things that might already been figured out with science. So, but aside that tertiary step, if you will, you're going to be looking at something that's happened in nature and going, what caused that? And then your scientific prediction is to say, I think this caused it. This is my independent variable, the thing I think caused it. And this is the dependent variable, the thing I've watched happening, occurring in nature. Anyway.
Well, I like to just figure out whether things are true or not as well, you know? And this would definitely do that. So maybe it doesn't go by the classical standard of science like that.
Under any other circumstances.
But at least I'm manipulating something.
Don't give me that crap.
Pointing at it and saying this is true.
Having a partial adherence is useless. So what? Oh, right, well, I've repeated it. Oh, right, well, I've got an independent variable. That's fascinating. The point is, in any other housekeeping question, I wouldn't be holding you to task on this, Arwin. Yeah, perfectly acceptable to study stuff. No worries. But we were asking for any viable scientific prediction from specific fields. Now, I get that you want to try and help them out here, Arwin, but this isn't science, and that's all we're asking for.
I'm not helping them out. I'm ruining their storytelling franchise. No, I want freaking astronomy to actually start doing something real for a change. I'm taking over.
I'm not exactly sure what this super chat's relevant to, but we'll hopefully figure it out once I've read it out. So is it Light-bearing bear? Hopefully I've got your name right. Do scuba diver lose consciousness if they are upside down in water? Obviously, we're qualified scuba divers here, so we're going to know that, right?
No, they don't.
Oh, Arwin knows.
Yeah, they don't, because the pressure is overall so high throughout the body. Being upside down doesn't really matter when you're really deep down, because you're under pressure anyway. And the problem usually is like, like in a jet plane, when you go in a loop, then you're pressed down really badly. Then the blood rushes away from your head. That's a problem. Or if you're just under pressure in water, it doesn't really matter as much whether you're up or down.
Another quick shout out to Caponac, who says, we see further than we should. Careful now. See on the sphere. Careful now. But the magical refraction, careful now, somehow aligns everything at eye level. Funny. Yeah, kinda.
I'll give him a pass. We know what he's saying.
Yeah.
Make astronomy scientific again.
Yeah. As much as I like your super chat, right? Especially at the moment, I'm really poor. But no. Number one, when you say we see further, well, that's saying that there's a standard laid down and we're seeing further than it. Well, further than what? Well, further than their declaration of what we should see on a sphere. Now, in his next breath, he does actually say that. See on a sphere? Okay, so even in your declaration, you're going to assume a sphere and then assume that based on your assumption of a sphere, we can see further than your assumption of a sphere laid down in their model. So there's the second problem. Third problem is refraction. Refraction, their refraction's based on the sphere. It's terrestrial refraction, 7/6 of the radius of the sphere. So as much as I kind of appreciate your sentiment, I do want to correct it, because it's like, those declarations, we see further than we should. Well, no, that's incorrect. We just see what we see. And this idea that we should see a certain distance is only based on the presupposition that we're measuring it based on the yardstick of a sphere. And we don't need to do that. You just see what you see. And is it further? Well, if you're going to link that to the weather conditions on the day, I'd definitely agree with you. But I know you're not, because you've made it clear that it's on a sphere that you're making your yardstick. So why the yardstick? Why we see further than we should see? Why should we be basing it on what a sphere says? That's just us locked into this automatic presupposition. Now, when we were all, you included, I assume, my friend, I'm going to have to get his name right again, Kapanek. When we were all brainwashed with this stuff, like our opponents, there's a deep-seated idea that you can automatically beg the question because you already know. And that really does die hard. And as a flat earther, I'm speaking from experience, when we were arguing it in the begging the question, proof of nothing, perspective hijacking curve calculator, we buy into that begging the question when we make those sorts of declarations, like we see further than we should. Well, what's saying what we should or shouldn't see? This fucking model, excuse my French. Don't let a model tell you what you should or shouldn't see. However, I really appreciate the support. Sorry to give you a lengthy lecture. Thank you for giving me money. Sorry.
Yeah, if only people could actually stop making models tell them what to do. But yeah, some models are just so attractive, It's hard to resist.
Old habits die hard. That's all it is.
I think he had a lot on the ball there, myself.
Old habits dying hard. That's all it is. We do it ourselves. I use the word atmosphere without realising. As soon as I say it, I want to slap myself. It's like, oh, atmosphere, what, air in the shape of a presupposed sphere. So it's like, no. If we're going to talk about balloons, as in satelloons, then they're in the air. High in the air.
So if what he said was restructured, for example, if he asked a baller, let's say he's talking to a baller and he's a flat earther, he says, so based on your sphere, Mr. Baller, how far do we have to go out with our eyesight before we see the curvature of the earth?
Why ask them that? We know, we've got geometry, it's laid down, it's set in stone, it's been established for hundreds of years. I don't need to ask a baller that. I don't need to lead them into telling me whether or not they assume the sphere, whether or not they beg the question, whether or not they understand the geometry, whether they know the geometry. None of those things are relevant. The ball parameters are set in stone. We know them. We've debunked them. The Black Swan destroyed the globe, left a paradox in their assumption that they use to debunk our assertion that they don't have a geometric horizon, which they don't. And they need one to get the hour to move the horizon when they've got the Black Swan to cope with. So it's untenable, paradoxical. No longer are we on a sphere based on the assumption that we can automatically assume we're on a sphere because we know anyway, and then compare it to what we should or shouldn't see based on what the sphere model says we should or shouldn't see. That has to go. You've got to relinquish that shit. What do you say? We should see further. So it says what? Your model? Nah. I'm just looking out and I can see quite far today. You're saying I'm seeing too far or not far enough? No. I don't care what your model says I should see. I've got a set of eyeballs.
Well,
yeah, but it's different though, depending on what we're talking about. Because if we're talking about the Black Swan, your horizon, we should see at 1.2 miles away, and we don't.
This is where I was going, Chocolate. So, of course, we on the panel and people who tune in on a daily basis know the Black Swan and all the other arguments and all the most repeated fallacies. But let's just say that you're talking to a normie and he doesn't know that the Nathan Oakley show exists, and he doesn't know the valid arguments against all this reification. He doesn't even know what Black Swan is referencing to. If someone says to you, yeah, I think we live on a ball and I think we're spinning, well then you could go exactly what Nathan is saying and just cut him off at the knees. But it's fun also to say, oh, so you believe we live on the ball, So where does the curve start on your ball? Do you know that? If we live on the ball. So you have contingent statements because then you're not reifying when you feed it back to them. But now it's the burden of proof is on them.
If the Earth was a ball, then the horizon would be geometric.
Yes, exactly.
It's not, though.
No, that's good, Arwood. So you feed back the black swan in the form of a question rather than saying, have you heard about the black swan?
No, it's an if statement.
Right.
From the other way around.
The if statement is necessary when you're debunking their presupposition. So obviously 2 years ago, maybe longer, they're all being forced to admit that they presuppose the R value. Yeah? Well, they still just say, well, we know we've got an R value, we're on a sphere, so therefore it's perfectly acceptable to beg the question. So we then have to go further. Okay, well, if you must beg the question and say Earth is a sphere, then every distance to horizon can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And the black swan demonstrates it beyond 10 miles when it should be 1.2, therefore we don't have a geometric horizon. And you need one to derive your refraction rebuttal when you say it's been moved with refraction. Well, your refraction in geometry, based on your model and reification thereof, is an R-based refraction. So where are you getting R from? If you can't see it, you can't measure it. Bye-bye model.
Paradox.
Nathan, do you remember the interview that I posted on my channel with the three guys, and we were doing the back and forth, and he said that he thought he could see 30 miles. And I said, no, it's 6 foot man is 3 miles according to what they say. He says, no, it's 30. And I go, no, it's 3. He said, oh, is it 3? So they're not even sure because they don't know. They're just bought this consensus science, as we talked about earlier in the pre-show. So when you pin them to the radius and you pin them to the black swan, they're in trouble, whether you pin them directly or you come back to it by asking them questions about their reified sphere. Well, how far should we see before the curve starts? Oh, 30 miles. Well, your site says it's 3. How come you see 27 more miles? What's going on? Don't you know your radius? See, I like throwing those little questions because each question is they can't answer because they don't know. They're just parroting.
I like asking people, do you know that if your height is at 1 foot, that your horizon line should start at 1.2 miles away? And they just look at me like I have 4 heads. I'm like, well, that's according to your globe model. What are you talking about? What do you mean? The Earth can't be that small. And I tell them, yeah, it's got a radius of 59 miles. And guys say, wait a minute, that can't be the radius of the Earth. That's too small. So, well, look it up. I didn't make up that number. Look it up.
Yeah,
he looked it up. He was like, wait a minute, you're right. Wait, no, that can't be right. The radius is like 4,000 miles? Nah. I was like, listen, I'm sorry to tell you, but that's your model. It's what you believe. That's not my story. So why is your horizon line not at 1.2 miles away? It's beyond 9 miles. And he just looked at me and said, nah, that's not possible. I was like, yep, welcome to Flat Earth.
Nice.
Very good, Chocolate. They got to be consistent with their model. They don't even know their own model.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
What's the sun?
It's over there.
No distance knowledge about it.
They talk about triangulation.
So what?
The triangulation only works
if you got your
you
radius right.
Know the size or the distance. Not just, it's all angular data. All the data we have is angular. It's based on observation. My conclusion personally is, okay, that means it's not physical. Whatever we're seeing is holographic in nature, not as in a hologram, but as in the nature of light, holographic, visible light. And yeah, that's my conclusion, and I'm trying to figure out how that could work. So I'm modeling it. It's very difficult, though. But
well, Arwen, if it's angular you're looking for, you got to ask a German. They're the only ones that know.
No.
Yeah. The chancellor's Angela Merkel.
Is it still Angela Merkel?
Angular Merkel. Jeez, man.
Are you saying she doesn't have an actual size?
Gotta ask that Masto that.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
There was a guy on chat yesterday who said he has the data. I told him, please come on the show today. So are you on the show? Are you in Discord?
Clearly not.
I guess not. He had the data, though. He was telling me he had the data.
Yeah, we've heard that old chestnut before. Any evidence that you can have gas pressure, like we're all breathing, without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
I'm sorry, you cannot falsify that.
Excuse me. You have the question wrong. It's how can you have pressurized gas without a container?
My bad.
Thank you.
How can you have pressurized gas, like we're all breathing, without a container for it to press upon? Or to paraphrase that,
cannot be falsified.
How do we have gas pressure here if the claim the sky is a vacuum is true? The gas would fill the space.
Well, can you show me anything that's not contained on Earth?
Can I show you gas pressure without a container? Claim to be globe head. Yeah, you can't have gas pressure without a container.
I have to try ask you because the globers don't seem to show me.
I see. So what I need to prove the sky is a vacuum by way of a demonstration that you can have gas pressure without a container. You can't.
But if you could, how would you do it, Nathan?
If you could, if the sky was a vacuum, how would I prove it? I don't believe for 1 second that the sky is a vacuum. If the sky was a vacuum, the gas we're all breathing would fill the space.
Gem Panda says it's an impossibility to do this.
Yeah, it's an impossibility to have a sky vacuum.
So therefore it's wrong.
Yeah, therefore it's impossible to have a sky vacuum. Gas pressure without a container can't be falsified. It also can't be demonstrated. It's beyond your fundamentalist religious belief that the sky is a vacuum called outer space, a space for the gas to fill. Then what you got? Nothing. A violation of natural law. Second law of thermodynamics.
They claim they're not violating it with the heliocentric model.
How do they? They just say we're not violating that natural law. Free expansion isn't real. Yeah, it is.
How can Jim Panda say that when he believes in space travel, you'd have to have an open system. So you would have to have the gas pressure next to a vacuum.
But it's an open closed system,
Yeah,
so some things can get out, like space shuttles.
Voyager, no worries. Gas, no. They stop at the Kármán line and go, hey man, let's just chill here.
Gas lives matter. I told you that.
No. It's vapors against entropy. Remember?
Vapors against entropy. Yeah, it's been updated.
That's the new one. You're right.
Still brilliant. Vapors against entropy. They just stop at the Kármán line and go, no, we will not be governed by these natural laws. What do you mean we're just going to carry on at the same speed we're going until we hit something? No. All of that available space, that's not for me. I'm going to stay here.
Maybe they ran out of kinetic energy.
Yeah, they run out of energy, exactly. They just go, absolute zero.
I'm exhausted. I'm chilling right here.
It's all a nonsense. The gas would fill the space. If this black area on screen was a 10 to the minus 17 torr vacuum, the most powerful vacuum you could possibly ever have, more powerful by orders of magnitude than any vacuum ever created on the surface of Earth, well, then all of this high-pressure gas would just dissipate into this vacuum, meaning the sky isn't a vacuum. It's a ludicrous assertion to even contemplate the idea. The gas would fill the space.
But what if the gas, when it's going up, would freeze up and solidify and then form balls, fall down again, but then evaporate before they hit the surface, and this would be constantly happening?
Yeah, we do. We do have cycles that, in some instances, that can occur. However, to achieve the gas pressure in the first place, to then achieve that gas cycle, you'd need containment. Because before you could ever have any cycle ever achieved ever, the gas would just vacate into the space.
Damn it, you're right.
Yeah, that's where that's where the VAE clan comes in, you know?
Right.
Vapors against
things
entropy.
only happen with gas and with cycles if it is pressurized. If the gas has already expanded within the container, then gradients and dynamics and all these cycles can set in after the gas pressure has expanded within the container available. That's true.
Well,
So
what
you're
is first
saying
need
that
containment
if
to
the
have
sky
a
was a
system?
vacuum?
Sorry?
So you're saying if the
Wouldn't you-
sky was a vacuum, then we would have no air to breathe?
Yeah. Unless gas for some reason could freeze up, then solidify and be falling back down, go boom boom. But I don't think that's the case.
But wouldn't you need containment to have a dynamic?
Well, it's more that trying to solidify anything in any kind of chemistry process or just physics, you know, turning water into ice. It always, all these types of processes of trying to solidify anything always tends to require a standard amount or actually a high amount of pressure, you know? So if it is actually vacating in all directions, then yeah, gas is, there's no way, as it is expanding, going less pressurized as it goes, then yeah, it's not, it could never solidify. That it doesn't work like that.
Well,
Is anyone
don't they
hearing
use containment
flaxoids?
for this?
Yeah.
What?
Don't they use containment to be able to make these things happen?
Right, because, and why is that? Because it requires usually high pressure. Like cold and high pressure is typically what could solidify something that in a natural state is not solid.
Yeah, but Arwen, in their model, how did, at the very beginning, gas pressure start and stay on the surface of the Earth without going into this vacuum of space? How did it all happen in their model?
It didn't. They just overlook that part constantly.
Yeah.
Because you don't need to render it in animations, you know, air, you don't see the air, so just don't think about it. Just draw a couple of clouds on there, maybe, and that's good enough.
To paraphrase
Maybe
the
little
10th man's
haze.
question, though, I just want to paraphrase his question. Where'd you get the gas pressure from in the first place? You don't, is Arwen's reply.
Yeah.
Right, that concludes housekeeping. No gas pressure without a container. Covered it all. I'm going to do a quick appeal to my audience. So I'm going to stick one of my statistics on screen. So you can probably see, if get the little arrowy things out of the way, basically 80-20 in terms of the people who are subscribed watching this versus the people not subscribed. So there's a massive disparity. Now, I don't need to go in. If you're a flat earther, especially if you're a flat earth videographer, you know precisely why there is this disparity. But I just wanted to put that stat on screen so that I can make it clear why I'm constantly e-begging for shares and saying, please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. I'll say it at the beginning of every show. That is why. If it's not shared, it doesn't reach anybody new, basically. There's just nobody watching that isn't exposed to it because they already know about it. Now, Neil, in the last few weeks, has not brought my attention to this because I knew anyway, but just highlighted it or reiterated it in the fact that he wouldn't be here if it wasn't for the fact that Dave Weiss shared my information to his audience. So as a direct consequence of that, he's come and he has looked for flat earth material and just didn't find me. So I know why it is, but by the same token, there is a solution, which is that the audience shares. So there's about 182 people. Hopefully, there'll be more people watching in a few minutes because a few of you will actually share the show. So please share the show on social media. I really do appreciate. Thanks in advance to all of you who do share these shows.
Shout out to David Weiss.
Yeah. It's people like David Weiss who will go to the effort of actually shouting people out and discussing other people's material and knowing it because he's watched it, because he spends his entire time in totally entrenched in this stuff. You know, it's an old gag. When I used to share, I'd stop sharing stuff with Dave ages ago because I'd send him a link and he'd laugh at me and say, oh, that was so 10 minutes ago. In other words, he's already watched it and commented and snipped out what he needs from it and produced a video by it by the time I've shared it with him. So he knows exactly what's going on. He's got his ear to the ground, which means that when he was on with Eddie Bravo, He was able to give a really concise rendition of the Black Swan argument there and then, because he knows it, because he's been watching, he knows everything that's going on. All hail DITRH. Subscribe today. But if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have the dulcet tones of Neil every day.
Yeah, he's to blame.
Blame? What are you talking about? Your race?
Anyway, if I got to reiterate what he said, he was like, this is before your whole thing with Bob now. This is like, I think, a month before. Maybe longer. He was like, I can't get enough of this Nathan Oakley show. That's why I was like, who the heck is this Nathan Oakley guy? I got to investigate this.
Fair enough.
Well, in all fairness, I think more Globers know about Nathan Oakley than Flat Earthers.
Yeah, but why is this, though?
You're probably right about that, Flatzoid.
Yeah, certainly get a lot of adverts made about me, eh?
But why is this? Why do so many people appreciate Nathan? Well, there's plenty of flat earthers out there that are well studied that don't really like going against the ballers. And then there's a whole bunch of people that like to go against ballers, and they have the fighting spirit, you know. They have confidence, they have some arguments, but yeah, usually it gets a bit messy. But you, Nathan, you are engaging, but also very strict and very disciplined and well educated, and we're all educating each other here, and that makes this kind of unique compared to the vast majority of engaging flat earthers out there. And I think that's what really makes this show so special.
Makes it special, but just less profitable. That guy who super chatted, he's never going to super chat ever again.
Oh.
G'day.
G'day.
Oh.
What's cooking, Mind Warped?
Not much. Just doing quotes. It's been a while. How have you all been?
Great.
Epic.
What's up, man?
It's good.
Smashing globes all over the place.
What's that?
Smashing globes all over the place. We're like the anti-globe legionnaire now. All technical and shit.
Been
they can't get through our wall.
One significant thing that's happened since you were last here, Mind Warped. We've drawn a line under this 105-year out-of-date rhetoric of mass attracting mass, Reverend John Michel, CV Boys, Cavendish gravity. We've just said no. 105 years is enough. It's coming up on 106 years.
I was going to ask you, how did your computer issue go? You get that all sorted?
Yeah, all of the issues that I did my GoFundMe were sorted to the point that I can run the show. So I've got 2 amps that are functioning, which is what I need to run the show. The computer's all fixed. So from that point of view, I'm still waiting, annoyingly, on the other 2 amps. But I'm yet to pay for those.
I shared your GoFundMe. I couldn't donate because we've gone pretty quiet at work. But yeah, I couldn't help, unfortunately. But I'm glad you got it sorted.
Yeah, there's still things that are in repair, so 2 of the amps still haven't been returned yet, which is annoying because, you know, I don't know how much they're going to cost, which is frustrating.
I remember you saying that in the video.
Well, I'm still in the same boat. Everything else, the reason I haven't mentioned it since is because it's not relevant to the show. None of those things that are out on repair are relevant to me having a show or not. So it's like, who cares? I'm not going to tell my audience that it's annoying I can't use my subwoofer. Or that the center channel doesn't work and the wife can't watch movies. No one's going to care.
I just felt sorry for you because it was like that, and then it was your fridge, and then something else. I'm like, man, everything happens in 3s, so hopefully that was the last thing.
3s? You've got to be joking. The sofa broke, the fridge broke, the computer broke, and 3 amplifiers broke. I'm sure there was something else as well. I can't remember. There was a big list of stuff that broke all at once.
Yeah, it always happens.
Oh, the shower. My shower broke.
Yeah, it's crazy how that happens, eh? You're like, okay, one thing, and then you get to the 4th, and like, what the fuck? What have I done? What have I done wrong?
Yeah, that was it. Every second day, something else went pop. You're like, oh my god. Just quick shout out to James Richard. He says, all glory to God. Indeed. So how have you been? Any flat Earth drone flying experiences you want to share with us, or anything exciting?
No, not really. I haven't been doing much drone flying. I've just been trying to keep business afloat with this whole COVID crap. So, Yeah. Oh, sorry. Don't know if we're still live. So the COVID thing.
Beer bug.
I'm right with you with that.
Beer bug.
What?
Yeah, exactly.
Beer bug. That's what you say. Beer bug. If you're worried about, I'm not in the slightest, but you can say COVID-19 on this show if you want to. I don't see that that's.
Some people are funny about it though, because they're like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, you get like."
I don't know. People sometimes put out there that they're not allowed to say certain words because they're under the assumption that they've had a previous video taken down because of their use of those words. And that's correlation only. No one's ever shown me that a certain word is intentionally censored from being uttered on YouTube. I can't think of anything in the terms of service. Certainly, you know, they're not vague. You know, they're relatively detailed about what you can and can't do. But it's not like they would say you're not allowed to say X word. There's certain words that you would just naturally assume they wouldn't want you to say anyway. But anyway.
Yeah. I think it goes mainly on like views and clicks and likes and stuff like that now. And like, I like how they've brought in the join thing, and you know, it's good. I think I was a bit skeptical about YouTube, and it looks like they've picked their game up, I reckon.
Yeah, they're changing the rules all the time. They're constantly updating their terms of service. I try and keep a close eye on that. But yeah, I agree. I think YouTube is better and better, and they often send me little surveys. You know, how happy are you with the advertising, for instance, on YouTube? And I always say I'm delighted. You know, I'll spend all day on it. If I hated it, I wouldn't be spending all day on it, which I do. So I think YouTube's a great platform, and I know it gets a lot of flack, and they do have rules that a lot of people, even myself, I will find myself self-censoring because of certain terms of service. But it's their house, right? Their rules.
Exactly. Yeah, I'll have to get back into flying and getting the. I've got the P900, but I haven't been using it much because I've been using a different Canon camera just for close-up shots and landscapes and that. So I'm thinking of actually selling my P900 and getting a P1000. So if anyone wants a good quality, well looked after P900 for a good price, let me know. I'll even cover the shipping.
I was going to say, especially if you're in Australia.
Yeah. If in the UK, I think you probably get it in 6 months.
Yeah, something around that figure. Good stuff. Well, good to catch up.
Yeah, you too, man.
Nathan, you were talking about a 105-year-old funeral that just won't go away.
The gravity that is CV Boy's Reverend John Michelle Cavendish gravity.
Yeah, if something died 105 years ago, it should be buried and done with, right?
Stench is still hanging around though, eh?
Oh, did you see the message that I put in chat on the side there? So I was thinking the other day, like how globers are like, oh, the world spins and, you know, it's an oblique spheroid and that. And I started thinking like, okay, well, the Earth would theoretically end up being flat if the world ended up like a globe and it was spinning. The equator would end up just coming out and out and out and out, further and further and further until it ended up being pretty much flat anyway, wouldn't it? After like however many billions of years of spinning.
According to Neil Smoking and Grass Tyson, yeah, because that's why the Earth is a little chubbier in the middle. Right, it's pear-shaped, like he said. Because
you know how like you get a pizza guy and he just spins the dough, just spins it, and it gets wider and wider and wider. If you go to a good pizza joint, and I was thinking, you know, it'd be like that, like it's just spinning, and after it'll be a really slow process going on the ball model, but it would end up being flat anyway. You know, if the Earth is as old as they say it is, and it's been spinning for that long, it wouldn't be just like a oblique spheroid. It would be near on flat, like been spinning for that long, supposedly.
What's been spinning? What's been spinning? What's been spinning?
The supposed. I never said anything. The supposed globe. I was just saying, like, you know, if we go on their model, like, you know, it would end up getting flatter and flatter, wouldn't it?
But that was the conceptualization. That was actually put out there before.
That was the right word. On their model.
That's been put out there before, actually, by Vsauce. the science denier that is Michael from Vsauce, postulated that if you were to conceptualize a flat Earth model, a disk, that you'd still have to factor in gravity, and he had the forces getting ever increasing as you went to the outside edge of the spinning disk that was a flat plane that was in his conceptualization. So, like any good controlled opposition, you've got to harness the power of the reified parts of your own model and portray them on a straw man model that your flat Earth opponent doesn't actually hold up. But that's precisely what they did in the Vsauce "Is the Earth Flat?" video.
Well, with a name like
flatten the curve.
I was just trying to think of a way that I could bring it up to a globe and go, well, if you think about it like this, it's not that far-fetched, really, is it? So.
Well, the bit that's far-fetched is the assumption that we're spinning that you're utilising in that example.
Well, yeah, I'm using their assumption, you know.
Yeah,
well, with a name like Vsauce, I think you have to go with the flat pizza version.
Vsauce, he's a pretty big YouTuber, isn't he? I'm pretty sure I've seen him.
Very big.
I've heard of him before.
But super chat from James Richard. He says, we cannot buy or sell without the mask of the beast, or the mark of the beast, my bad. Some places you cannot buy or sell without a mask. You want to quickly give your thoughts on that? Not really. I mean, wearing a mask in a shop is mandated by the shop owner. You know, they've got the right to refuse service. So if your local shop owner, or even if it's a corporate, has a policy that you have to wear a mask, then you have to wear a mask, or you don't buy from them. That's your choices. Now beyond that, I see people wearing masks in their cars, and I've got to be
that's just stupid. I better not give myself the COVID. Jeez.
Like, you're in a car, it's got a filtration system. What exactly? I don't know. Yeah, thank you for the super chat, James Richard. It's not really on topic with this particular channel.
I'm not sold on the whole mask thing. If you look at the data for places that are wearing masks and places that are not, like, most of the time the data is pretty much the same.
As I say, not for this channel. Maybe in the after show.
Yep, agreed.
I'm more interested in their presupposition that the Earth is a sphere, and in their own minds the justification for begging the question thereafter. You know, it's exemplified by Craig, Fight the Flat Earth, when he was on the show. I'm asking him about whether or not they're going to be measuring tangent planes when they do their geodetic surveying, and he refused to answer the question, only to later slip up and talk about the tangent. So the reason they do that is because in their mind it's perfectly acceptable to automatically have the assumption that you're standing on a sphere. In other words, reify the model first, and then beg the question after.
Well, Nathan, we started the pre-show with consensus science quotes, right? And so now we find ourselves with the baller community, the trolls, the people in the trenches. It's all about pride, in my opinion, because they don't want to admit they fell under the Jedi mind trick. And so they're going to try to defend the consensus science that they bought into, wherever that led them. And so then you have a show that has 8 housekeeping questions. Or 9 housekeeping questions, and they can't even answer our questions. And so it's a pride issue. They're going to have to say they were wrong all this time. They don't like that. Instead of chasing the truth, no matter where it leads them, they rather just make their stand here.
Pete Shea from the chat says, Nathan isn't looking for answers.
You ask a question, how can you have gas pressure without containment? What's that?
Where's the container?
Don't
know. It's a good question. Don't know. Nice
So
that
you
you acknowledge
just
we must
assume
have one.
there is one. I got it.
Do you know what? Last time you were here, you didn't even know what an antecedent was.
Nice
Right,
that he
so
you
acknowledges.
want to tell us?
scientific evidence of this presupposed container?
Do you want to tell us what an antecedent
The fact
is?
that we're breathing, that's what assumes that we have a container. The fact that we're breathing is necessary antecedent. It's a container. Otherwise, how the hell are we breathing in your vacuum, Ed? How are we breathing in your vacuum, Ed?
Unless you can demonstrate gas pressure without a container.
No. That's burden of proof reversal fallacy. Remember, you have to provide scientific evidence for the container.
Nobody's
Please show
claimed.
it.
You can't have gas pressure without a container. So, without the container, there can be no pressure.
The question. That's backing the question fallacy. Please provide scientific evidence for the container.
Nobody's claiming science. Nobody's claimed we know where the container is. But your first question
you don't have
seems like he's interrupting me every time I try and talk. Is it just me? So
No, it's Ed.
So we don't assert to know where the container is. We assert that there must be containment for there to be gas pressure. Part of the definition of gas pressure, the force it exerts on the walls of its container. So there must be a container, otherwise we wouldn't have gas pressure. Do we know where it is, as per your first question? No. We know we must have containment, though.
Right, so it's just backing the question then.
Begging what question?
Where's the evidence for the container, Nathan?
Sorry, begging what question? What question's being begged? Explain.
Can you show evidence for the container?
Yeah, gas pressure. Yes, gas pressure. That's correct. Yes, we can.
Can you define gas pressure?
So, given we have gas pressure, we can't have a sky vacuum because the gas would fill it. So when we point out that there must be containment to have gas pressure, it annihilates the notion that the sky is a vacuum because the gas would fill it. Now, we don't necessarily make any positive assertions about what the sky is, but the heliocentric model says it's a vacuum called space. It isn't, because the gas would be filling it.
You say it's a container, so please
No, I say we must
demonstrate
have... I didn't say that. I said we must have containment to have
so
gas
there's
pressure.
No container.
We must have containment, yeah. That's right. To have gas pressure, you need a container.
So there is a container or there isn't?
Must be, because we wouldn't have gas pressure.
Can you show it? Can you demonstrate
No,
it?
I can't.
Or do
No.
you just assume it?
No, I can't. But the fact that...
So you're just assuming?
No, we've got gas pressure. I'm not assuming anything. Without the container, there can be no pressure.
Yeah, you're assuming that, but please demonstrate
it's a fact.
the container.
Okay, if I can show you many examples of pressurized gas with containment. Can you show me one single example that doesn't have containment beyond your fundy belief that the air you're breathing isn't contained?
Please demonstrate one then.
Sorry, can you demonstrate any example that doesn't need containment beyond your fundy belief that the air we're breathing isn't contained? Now, I can show plenty of examples with gas pressure. It's talking through me again. I can show plenty of examples where gas pressure has containment. All of them, in fact, because there aren't any that don't show that. Now, you're saying, no, you're begging the question, the question of whether or not you need containment. No, you do. It's an antecedent.
One. Yeah, can you name one example?
What, of gas in a container? Yeah, scuba diver. Their tank is a container with pressurized gas inside it.
Right, but that's man-made.
And?
So, can you show one?
Sorry, nobody's claiming science here.
Okay, what about a volcano?
It's just a bit confused.
That's not man-made.
Sorry, you're a bit confused. You would make that objection if I'd made a claim of science. I haven't.
So you can't demonstrate the container then?
Yeah, there's plenty of examples, every example ever of pressurized gas. It requires a container to demonstrate that. Do you disagree?
But
let me make a statement and let's see if you disagree. Let me make a statement and we'll see if you disagree. Every example of pressurized gas will have the antecedent of containment, without exception. Do you disagree?
this example you gave is man-made. So
sorry, who cares?
irrelevant.
It doesn't matter. I'm not saying this is scientific validities, therefore I needed a fucking natural phenomena. No. Sorry, I'll make my statement again. Every single example of a pressurized gas will have the necessary antecedent of containment. Do you disagree? Yes or no?
Please demonstrate this container you talked
I've given
about.
you an example. Are you saying my...
Yeah, that was a man-made...
So what? So I'm going to kick him out. This isn't a claim of science. I don't need natural phenomena here. So saying, oh, it's man-made, so what? So does that mean it's not real? No. We only use that example. We use that example when you fundy idiots come here and tell us you've got science and then start talking about things like the Cavendish experiment, which doesn't have a naturally occurring phenomena, and it's claimed to be science. So we'd say, step one, observe natural phenomena in the scientific method. Nobody's claiming that, you complete bonehead. So to throw out my claim of an example of a container because it's man-made, so what? That's not a rebuttal. You're just using our cogent, coherent demolition of scientific claims based on their non-adherence to the scientific method, which is not being claimed here. What we're claiming is a matter of fact. Without the container, there can be no pressure.
Right, and when you
Yeah,
talk
that was said by a teacher on your own very side.
That's Nate.
Without the balloon, there could be no pressure.
I was still talking.
It's either he's very dumb
Earth,
or he's trying to
that's
say in a
natural,
roundabout
isn't it?
way, there's got to be another answer.
Oh, you muted this.
No. Oh, sorry, because people are talking, it's suddenly you not talking through me, therefore Discord's muted. No. Other people also talk through other people. You fundies just do it to me constantly every time I say anything ever. Shout out to Retro Bill for the super chat. Really do appreciate your support. With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Good live show.
Yeah.
Yep.
They've got to increase their game. Show us the dome. Like, is that really the best you've got?
Well, he didn't even say dome. He said container.
Sure.
I just respond, look, just walk outside. It's right over there.
Because it
is.
Got gas pressure.
It has to be.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean we know exactly where, at what distance it is, but it's there. Right over there.
Evidence for containment gas pressure, being that the definition of gas pressure is the force the gas exerts on the walls of its container. That would make it the necessary antecedent, right, Ed? Unless you have, of course, another definition of gas pressure that does not require a container, that would be awesome.
Yeah, so Nathan, when you say it's not scientific, right, so when you talk about Earth, doesn't that involve nature and the laws of nature? And when you talk gas pressure...
Do you think natural laws are scientific laws?
That's the laws of nature, right?
That's
you
right.
think natural laws are scientific?
He does, clearly.
Yeah, so you're invoking scientific laws,
So they're
but
not science.
when I ask you to
Did I
demonstrate
just not
those
say, do you
scientific
think natural laws
you're
are
saying
scientific?
it's not
He
science all of
He
a
ignored
sudden.
you and is now parroting. So you think it's science, even though there's been an objection raised by Chocolate, which is completely ignored.
So it's
Ed,
not
are
science,
natural-
even though
are
you're talking
natural
about the
laws
natural
scientific?
world.
Hold on, Chocolate.
Ed.
Chocolate. Let him say, so it's not science, 5 more times. We'll wait for a pause.
No, I'm asking, how can it be not science when you talk about the natural world and invoke gas laws and such?
Yeah, that's the second time we've heard a full rendition. Are you done?
Are you going to answer?
I'm going to wait till I know you're done. And Chocolate's going to answer, hopefully without constant interruption as he's had thus far, and a complete and total ignorance of what he said.
Yeah. I was asking you, Nathan.
Yeah, Chocolate's going to answer when you shut up.
So you're running? Okay.
So you're not going to shut up, Ed. It's Chocolate started and you were talking, asking me a different question about whether or not I'm running away. Chocolate's already given you a reply. All this is an obfuscation. You're going to get one more attempt to let Chocolate reply, given that you've pleaded for a reply, and we're going to see if you interrupt him again. I am in no doubt you will, because that's what you do. We're waiting for you to shut up, Ed. That means don't talk. Chocolate will be the next one to open his mouth.
Go ahead, Chocolate.
So the first thing he does is reply. The first thing he does. So you're a prick. Like a little petulant child, Ed. Petulant. Do you know what petulant means? That's you. You're a petulant little child. A brat. Go ahead, Chocolate.
Ed, are natural laws scientific? Do you understand the question? Did you hear the question?
Yeah, did you have a point to make? Because
Yes,
I
your
was
question.
asking Nathan something
Yeah, I'm going to kick him out.
before this.
I'm going to kick you out, Ed. He's asked you if you think natural law is scientific.
They're
there is
discovered
a
by
point to it.
science, yeah.
Owen, please.
They are discovered by science.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's wrong. That's incorrect. Give me the independent variable for the second.
Okay.
Give me the independent variable for entropy. Go. If it's been through science, you can give me the independent variable for entropy, the cause of why hot goes to cold. Give it me now.
Give it me now.
You can't give it me because he's wrong. He's a moron. He thinks that these natural laws that are merely descriptions have been through the method of science. He's incorrect. He's another globe-head idiot. Idiot!
And how are...
Idiot! Natural law doesn't go through the scientific method, idiot!
How are they
Idiot! These laws of nature don't go through the method, you moron! Are you deaf?
Then how are they discovered? I'm asking you.
They aren't discovered, they're descriptions! You complete bonehead! Look, this is irrelevant. They're not science, you're just wrong. You thought they were, you're wrong. You've been corrected by flat earthers. You, the retard who thinks the earth is a sphere and has come here to challenge us, even though you're the one with the positive assertion, with your sky vacuum. Yeah? Bottom line, not science, just descriptions of something that occurs always. Not been through the method, not science. You're just wrong. Sorry, Ed, you're a failure.
By which method?
By the method of science. Establishment of cause and effect based on natural phenomena through systematic experimentation. That's science. These descriptions have not been through that method, you clown.
Ed, you're looking
Then how
bad,
did
Ed.
they get the...
So you can ask me something about your total ignorance of this subject? You're wrong. They're not science. You're just stupid. They haven't been through the method. You're a clown. You're a moron. Is there anything else here you think we should educate you more, moron, while you talk through us? No, moron. We'll just highlight that the person who thinks the globe is real has been educated by the people who know it isn't. That's us. Okay, moron? Be educated by us. That's what we do. We'll tell you how it is. Yeah? While you sit there and ask us, well, how did they come to... Go fuck yourself, you clown. You are wrong. These are not science. They're just descriptions of something that occurs always. That's what natural law is. Not science. You're wrong. Do you understand, clown? Be corrected by us, the flat earthers, the ones who do know.
Where did these...
Why are you asking me something? Have some humility, you pathetic clown. You were wrong. They aren't science. Now you're gonna parrot that back. I know, Nathan. They're not science. I was wrong. Let's hear it.
How did they get...
Clown! Repeat after me. No, Nathan. I understand how stupid I was. They're not science. Now, say it.
Can you tell me which...
No, you're going to repeat after me, clown, while I humiliate you for an audience. You're going to say, I understand, Nathan. They aren't science. Thank you for educating me. That's what you're going to say.
But you didn't tell...
Wrong, clown. Start with, I understand, Nathan.
You didn't tell...
Moron! They aren't science as declared by you. You are stupid. And you will continue to be berated by me, the flat earther, until you acknowledge your incorrect assertion that natural law has gone through the method of science. It hasn't. You're a moron and you're going to acknowledge that.
Then which method...
Moron! I understand, Nathan. I was wrong. These natural laws have not been through the scientific method. Repeat after me. I'll train you like a dog.
Which method?
Moron! You're gonna be trained by me, the flat earther, to acknowledge that natural law has not been through science. That is what you are going to do. Doesn't matter if it takes an hour. I've got the patience to train a bad dog. You're the bad dog here, Ed. You've said that natural law is science. It's not. Bad dog. Now repeat after me, bad dog. I understand, Nathan. These natural laws have not been through the scientific method. Go.
Which method?
Moron! You're going to be repeating my words, moron, because you're wrong. And the flat earther's correcting you. I don't care if it takes all day. We're going to whip this little dog into shape with his incorrect assertions of science when talking about descriptions of what occurs always in nature. That would be natural law. You're a moron and you're going to be trained by me, the flat earther.
Share your pain, Nathan.
Not my pain. I love it when they claim, while I berate them, that this is somehow painful for me. Demonstrations to an audience of how stupid a globe-believing retard is, and my absolute justification in berating you continually for your declarations of science where none exist in these descriptions of nature. That would be natural law. I understand this and can concisely tell you, not ask, not query, tell you. Not pain. It's a pleasure. Okay, globe-believing moron? That's you. Bad dog? You're going to repeat that you understand that natural law is not scientifically valid. You are going to do that for me, good dog. Go on, you can do it. There's a good doggy. Biscuit waiting at the end.
So, which method did they go through?
Good dog. Sit back down and understand, Nathan. Natural law has not been through the scientific method.
Yes, you muted Discord, didn't you?
No, moron. You're getting trained. Don't appeal to mute. We know your game. Repeat after me.
Mute.
Oh, he's
game.
just starting
That's
to bark through me, isn't he? Bark, 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 bad doggy. You're being trained, dog. Trained.
Why are you so mad, Nathan? Why are you so mad?
I waited for the second rendition so I could come on camera and show exactly how pleased I am. Be a good dog and repeat after me. The scientific method is not natural law. There's a good doggy.
They use the scientific method to get us to the laws of nature, though.
No, there's a bad dog. These descriptions have not been through the method. What a bad dog. There's some dogs that just can't be trained. No, mate. You're not going to give me the cause of entropy. That is never going to be established. The cause of why hot always goes to cold is beyond elucidation, my friend. You're a very bad dog.
Actually, he's demonstrating how stupid he is.
Yeah, it's great.
Very dumb dog.
Yeah, so which method did they use then to
bad dog
descriptions?
Bad dog. You need to be describing how you understand that they're not scientific, bad dog.
He hasn't muted you once, prick.
Oh, so you heard me.
Yeah, we hear you. We hear you being told by a flat earther that you're a very bad dog. And you've asserted after my 10, maybe 12 attempts of training you that natural law doesn't go through the scientific method. You've reasserted it again, like a bad puppy that's pissed on the carpet.
Right, so which method did they use then?
They didn't, my friend. They're just descriptions. Repeat after me. I understand, Nathan. They have not put this through a method of establishing the cause of the effect. It merely describes it.
How did they get the descriptions then?
Who cares? It's not been through science. That's what you asserted twice, despite 10 attempts. To nip your ear, rub your nose in the piss on the carpet. That's what's happening. But you won't tolerate it. You're just disobedient. Like a bad dog that won't be trained.
You're just assuming they didn't.
Who cares? It's not been through science. You're wrong.
No, you are assuming they are.
How did they get these descriptions? How do you think, Ed?
This dog is going to.
If natural laws are based on things that happen every day in nature, how do you think they establish these descriptions of nature?
They discovered them using the scientific method.
Bad dog.
Oh, they conclude them by
I told you he was going to piss on the carpet again.
Yeah, it's just a waste of time. I'm going to kick him out. Just a waste of time.
Back in the shed.
Well, what you don't understand. After me telling you and berating you with humour, calling you a bad dog, you still want to assert that the descriptions of law in terms of nature have been through the scientific method. They haven't, Ed. Now, clearly you're untrainable. Thick.
Then how did they get them?
Well, if they had gone through the scientific method, then there would be some type of scientific experiment validating that, right? So do you have an experiment?
He's moving on. He's not acknowledging what we've
I'm
said
actually
in terms
waiting
of
for Nathan.
demolishing bad dog. He's not acknowledging what we've demolished in terms of his assertion that they have been through the method, but they haven't. He's just moving on to ask us how they were established. In other words, sidestepping his incorrect assertion, despite the number of times I've tried to train it into him, he's just moved on. How do they get established? Who cares? They're not scientifically valid. They haven't been through the method. That's wrong. You made that incorrect assertion. We've corrected you. You haven't accepted it. You've reasserted that they have been through the method.
Which
You're wrong.
method did they go through?
No. How many times? Bad dog. Repeat after me. I understand, Nathan. The natural laws have not been through the scientific method. How many times have I got to get you to repeat that? You won't, because you're a bad dog.
Isn't that why it's called natural law?
Then how can any of them be correct?
They're just descriptions.
How can any of them be
Correct.
correct?
They're just describing something that occurs always. Just describing it. Not establishing why, not establishing cause, not saying the reason hot always goes to cold is just describing something that occurs always.
Always, and how did they arrive at that conclusion?
That's right.
Because it always happens. That's how they arrive to the conclusion.
Exactly, Owen.
And how did they test for that?
Why are you questioning us, bad dog? Why are you asking us questions when you are still yet to acknowledge your incorrect assertion that this is scientifically valid? None of the natural laws.
Because you're pretending.
And now he's being a bad dog again. Bad dog, sit. Bad dog, sit.
Denying.
Sit.
You're just denying anything.
Sit.
You're not telling me anything.
Bad dog, sit.
Can you at least explain the method they used?
Sit.
Or can you just shout?
Sit, bad dog. You're yet to acknowledge that they haven't been through the method. You sidestepped it because you are untrainable. Old dog, new tricks. Don't understand. I get it. You don't understand. I get it. We can't train it into you. I get it. Doesn't matter how much we explain that your claim of this scientific validity in the form of natural law is wrong. Anything. You will just talk through me. Yeah, maybe later claim that I'm muting you when you're constantly muting me. Yeah? You won't accept it. You're wrong. They haven't been through the method. You're wrong. That was your claim. You're wrong.
Then which method did
So a question for me, not an acknowledgement, not an I understand, Nathan. They haven't been through the method. I was wrong. Not an acknowledgement. Another sidestep. Now I'm going to start berating you for your cowardice. You are a coward. You have been proven wrong. You've been demonstrated wrong. You've provided no positive proof for your assertion that they have been through the method. You are incorrect. You've been demonstrated a fool on multiple occasions by flat earthers. Now, until you accept and acknowledge this, you will be called a coward.
You're not telling me what.
Coward! You're not deserving of an explanation. You've made an incorrect declaration that I've corrected and you're yet to acknowledge it. You're not deserving of further explanations. I expect you to acknowledge your incorrect declaration.
Are you withholding information from...
I'm going to withhold whatever I like because I've already demonstrated you to be incorrect. Therefore, you don't deserve to quiz me and get the vast wealth compared to your pea-brain intellect of understanding when it comes to natural law and science. You have none and are here declaring things, but you think you've got the right to demand explanations based on your incorrect assertion. No, you need to actually achieve some respect. And the way you will do it is acknowledging your incorrect assertion that scientific method has been applied to natural law. It hasn't.
Unless you tell me...
Coward. Unless I tell you, coward. No, I've told you you were wrong and you can't accept that. You're a coward.
You're just telling me I'm wrong. But...
Yeah, I am telling you you're wrong. I am correct. I am a flat earther telling a globehead correctly that the laws of nature have not been through the scientific method. He is incorrect. I'm not asking him. I'm not seeking his opinion. I am absolutely unequivocally telling you. Do you get it, bad dog? I love telling you morons. I love being a flat earther and telling you that you're wrong. I derive great pleasure from it. I love how you squirm while I do it. That gives me pleasure too.
Share your pain.
Yeah, no, not my pain. You are. Not at all. I derive great pleasure from telling you how wrong you are. When you asserted that natural law has been through the scientific method, you're wrong.
But you're not telling me why I'm wrong, though.
Because it hasn't been through the method. If it had, you'd be able to demonstrate an independent variable that would be a cause of entropy. So what's the cause of entropy, you complete fucking clown?
I don't care. Tell me the...
You don't care? It's been through the method. That's the point of the method. Establishing cause. That's what the method's for. So if you're to assert it's been through the method, you can be damn sure there's a cause established. What's the cause of entropy, you fucking retard?
Oh, now you're asking me a question?
Yeah. If it's been through the method as per your claim, you'd know the fucking cause.
Right, so which...
Yeah, right, and you don't, because it hasn't been established, because it hasn't been through the method, because you are a fucking clown. Now, I have explained why you're wrong, bad dog.
No, you haven't.
Yeah, I have, because if you had the method adhered to, you'd have an established cause.
How can you verify?
Yeah, now it's time for a question for me. This fuckwit thinks he knows the cause of entropy. Nobel Prize for Ed. Nah, you're not going to establish the cause of entropy. And that's what science is for. Establishing cause of natural phenomena.
You're just raging through me again.
Raging through you? Nah. Annihilating your nonsense claim that you've got nothing to back up. I've pointed out that if it'd been through science, like you're claiming and we're annihilating, that you'd have an established cause. What's that cause, Ed?
How can you verify?
A question isn't a cause. Why are you asking me a question? Just give me the cause.
You're shouting through me again.
And that's not a cause. I'd like the cause. Cause of entropy. For you Nobel
that's
Prize.
Okay. Funny, mute me again.
Nobody's muting you.
Mute me again.
Share your pain. Nobody's muting you. I'm asking you for the cause of entropy.
I'm not embarrassed Nathan. I'm
asking you
actually
for the
enjoying
cause.
this.
Cause of entropy,
Because
please.
you're not answering my questions.
My question is, what's the cause of entropy?
How can you verify something always happens without testing?
Testing would be the application of the scientific method, and it would be a hypothesis test to establish cause. So what's the cause of entropy, given that you claim it's been through the scientific method? It hasn't. You're wrong.
Right, so how...
Right, no, you're wrong.
before the
No, it hasn't
testing
been through the
part?
method. Whoever's rumpusing me from G+. No, definitely not been through the method, mate. You'd have a cause. You're wrong.
How do you establish it? You do it.
Then how can you verify something always happens?
No,
Yeah,
not
by doing
something
it, and
happens.
it happens.
Arwin,
That's
thank
how
you.
you
Thank
establish
you,
it.
Arwin, thank you. Not why it happens. No, the cause of it happening. That's what science establishes. Seeing that something happens isn't science. Establishing the cause of why it happens is science. Independent variable, presumed cause of an effect. What is the cause of entropy, this natural law that hasn't been through the method? You're wrong in asserting it has. If you were right, you'd have a cause. What is that cause, Ed?
You said the laws of nature.
No, don't tell me what I said. I'm asking for the cause. You say it's been through science, so give me the cause.
No. So you're going to funny mute me or let me answer?
But you're Googling.
You
and something
clearly
else.
said the laws of nature are
Guys,
descriptions of stuff that always happens. How can you verify it always happens without doing testing and experiments?
You do testing, but it's not involved.
What do you do before you
It always
test?
happens.
Sorry, I'm not questioning the validity of these laws. I'm questioning your assertion that they've been through the scientific method and therefore are definitely going to have a cause established, according to you, while you seem to fundy mute me. I'll try again. Without the fundy muting, we'll see. So you'd have a cause if it had been through the method. That's your claim. I don't care how they've been established. I'm not interested. I'm just interested in proving you wrong. You say it's been through science. That would be to establish cause. What is the cause of entropy? I want to see if you get that Nobel Prize.
Yeah, so if you're going to say that the laws of nature are descriptions of stuff that always happens.
No, you're going to say they're science and they're not. So don't worry about what I'm saying. Worry about your claim of science.
That was your claim.
I don't worry about my claim. You've said it's science and you're wrong. I've spent about the last 25 straight minutes proving you wrong. You haven't got a cause. That's what science is for. That's what it's there to establish. Cause of natural phenomena. If it was science, you'd have a cause. You haven't. You're wrong. I've demonstrated why you're wrong. You haven't got a cause. That's what science establishes. You said I hadn't told you why you were wrong and why it wasn't science. Now I have. Now I'd like to train him again. So, good dog. I understand.
No, I've got you right.
No,
Nathan.
bad dog. I understand that. No, bad dog. I understand. Fundy muting dog. Fundy muting dog. I understand, Nathan.
Share your pain.
No, you seem to be fundy muting me. Something you simultaneously accused me of only 2 minutes ago. I'll try again. How many times will he fundy mute me? Let's see.
Try again.
Count them off. That's
Go
5.
ahead, Nathan.
That's
Go
6.
ahead.
6 times he's fundy muted me. Tell me that I'm muting you while you're doing it, I would. So, I understand, Nathan. Natural law has not been through the scientific method. Can you repeat that for me, good doggy?
Then how can you verify
Not
it's
a question.
descriptions of
Bad
stuff
dog.
that always
Bad dog.
happens?
Bad dog.
You're not
Bad dog.
answering, Nathan. Why?
It's not a question for me. It's something I've explained in great detail. You haven't got cause, that would be science. You've said it's science. I need you to acknowledge that by saying the following. I understand, Nathan. It is not science. Natural laws don't go through the scientific method. How much slower have I got to say it? How many more times has the globe believer got to be educated with stern training by a flat earther? How many times, Ed?
Then how can you verify it's a description of stuff that always happens?
You've claimed it's science and it isn't. Sidestep it maybe? A few more
You
times.
claimed it's a description.
Are you still worrying about my claim? You've claimed it's science, it isn't.
Can you verify that?
You just keep asking me what I can do. You said it was science, you're wrong.
If you can't verify...
And now we're asking me what I can do if... No, you need to be a good dog, roll over I'll have your little tummy tickle. It's not science. It's not been through the method. You're just wrong. No established cause for entropy. That's a moronic statement. You'd have a Nobel Prize if that was the case.
It's not science. We can just...
No, it's not science. Oh, we're getting somewhere now.
Argument.
We're getting somewhere now. It's not science. That's right, Ed.
Then we can ignore your container argument.
So it's not science, Ed. Yeah?
It is.
Oh, you still think it is? Bad dog. Not been through the method, not science. Just describing something, Ed. Wrong. You're an imbecile.
Then how can you verify?
No, it's back to question. This dog can't be trained. No, you're supposed to be on your back with your tummy being rubbed saying, I understand, Nathan. My declaration of science for natural law was wrong. That's what you need to be doing, Ed.
You're scared of my question.
No, it's a declaration you made and have yet to concede. You're a coward.
He's delusional.
Then how can you verify it?
Why are you asking me? You've declared that this is science and it isn't. I've proven that beyond all certitude. You're just a coward. Coward.
No, you haven't. You're just assuming it.
No, you declared it was science and it isn't. It doesn't matter what it actually is. You incorrectly asserted it's science and it's wrong. It's not science. Natural law doesn't go through the scientific method. I've tried. I'm going to get maybe a count going. I'll tally it when we watch this back. I'll tally how many times I've had to tell you that your declaration that natural law goes through the scientific method is wrong. That's your claim. It's wrong. You're yet to concede it.
Nathan, if he's saying that it's been through the scientific method, then please post the report and tell us exactly what is the cause of entropy now.
Yes.
Ed.
Yes.
Tell us, what is the cause of entropy? What's the cause of entropy, Ed? Really hang on, Arwen. Hang on, no.
Yeah, he's just trolling.
Ed, give us the cause for entropy, since you said it's gone through the science.
Right, so you said...
Now, please.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, great. Yeah, so you said the laws of nature are descriptions of stuff that always happens. How can you verify that?
Scientific method. Give us the cause.
No,
Ed.
you're talking through me. Just answer the question.
I know, because you
how can you verify?
No, you talk through my question.
How can you verify?
You talk through my question.
Do it.
Ed,
it always happens. That's
said
how
it's
you
an answer.
it.
Yeah, he's fundy muting you.
Yeah, of course he is. He doesn't
Arwen
like
said he had an answer.
Fundy muting you again.
Please.
Fundy muting you again.
Yes, I think it's. I'm done with him. A direct question can't be answered. He's a troll of trolls.
Yeah, he's trolling. He's delusional.
I've asked the same question very often.
Yeah, we've heard him say. I've asked the same question. Hold on. I'm trying to point out that every time someone discusses this matter, he says, I've asked the same question mid-sentence. So he's decided that that's his fundy mute button and he's going to utilise it as much as he possibly can.
Arwen said he had an answer, so I would like to hear it.
Yes, okay, that's good. That's good. Right, so how do you establish natural law? If not through the scientific method, which it isn't, how do you establish it? By doing it, and then the effect, the entropy effect, for example, always happens every single time. That's how natural law is established. It's very different from the scientific method. Okay, it's a different way of establishing. You do it, it always happens.
Arwen, how can you verify that that's the case and not something else?
We're asking you.
By doing it, and then it always happens. I just told you that.
Yeah, he doesn't get it.
Then how can you establish the description if you don't know what's going on?
We do know what's going on. It's being described. So I gave you a qualifier. Hot goes to cold always.
Really?
Yeah. Before you interrupt. Yes, I gave you a qualifier. The cause of why hot goes to cold always. I said those words. Maybe you were fundy muting me while I said it. Probably. You probably didn't hear me. Yeah. So the reason why that happens, well, you observe it happening and the second law merely describes that happening. Now, are you saying that suddenly, because it's got a description attached to something that occurs always, it doesn't always occur? So you're saying hot doesn't always flow to cold. You're telling me that you can show an example of that not occurring, because the only reason we have these laws described is because they occur always. They're not science, though. They haven't been through the method. They're just descriptions. That's the point that we're pummeling. You yet to acknowledge it. You're a coward. You asserted they'd been through the scientific method. And now you're fundy muting me. Constant assertions that I mute them, and yet he's fundy muting me again. Yeah, you declared it had been through the scientific method. You said it was science. We quizzed you on it and then corrected you. I've asked on probably no less than about 40 separate occasions for you to acknowledge your incorrect direct declaration that these descriptions had been through the method. They haven't, unlike your declaration, which was wrong. Yet to acknowledge it, you're a coward.
They also describe how things happen. So how can you describe that without doing scientific tests?
I didn't. I'm not. These aren't my descriptions. However, they're definitely not science, as you claimed.
Then how can they describe...
Why are you asking me? I just said they're not my laws. I didn't describe them. You did describe them as science incorrectly, though. They're not mine. I didn't describe them. I'm not going to defend them, but I will rip a moron bad dog to pieces when he says they're scientifically valid and they're not. Bad dog. Incorrect. You said science. Wrong.
They must be, because they describe what happens and how it happens.
Describing it isn't establishing
you can only
cause.
arrive...
Hello, moron. You don't need to fundy mute me when I rebut what you've just said. No, moron. Science establishes cause. That's why we asked you if you knew what the cause of entropy was. You weren't giving us an answer. You were asking us how it was to come to pass. What's the cause? If it's been through science, give us the cause. That's the point of science. It hasn't. You won't. Stony silence, then followed by fundy muting when I point out he's wrong. He just won't concede he's wrong. Because he's a marvellous bastard. And he'll sit here doing it all day.
Share your pain.
No pain. Pleasure, mate. I don't mind pointing out to you, the moron dick who's got not a clue, that these descriptions haven't been through the method. I'll do that all day, you clown. Pleasure. Telling you what's what, mate. Pleasure.
So if these descriptions describe how things happen and what happens...
Ooh, fascinating. It's not science. That's me teabagging a moron who said it was. You said it was science, you clown. What a complete clown. I'm a flat earther and I know it's not science. Why don't you know it's not science, you complete buffoon? Let's start insulting this clown.
It is, though.
Why don't you know that it hasn't got a cause? You clown! Why don't you know this isn't causally proven, you clown? Why is it that you're so thick on the globe side? Why is it that you're all morons like this Ed guy? I know it's not science, I'm a flat earther and I know it's not. Why are you here telling us it is, you moron? What a clown!
Why are you so mad?
I'm asking you why you're a clown. I'm annoyed that you've come here and told us it's science. That's very annoying. Stupid people like you annoy me. You're really stupid. You've really annoyed me, you complete cretin.
I'm just asking.
You've annoyed me, you complete cretin. You've annoyed me. I'll fundy mute you for a bit, you cretin, you retard.
You leave in the box
you
for 3
idiot.
seconds.
You complete clown.
And there you go.
You're very annoying, you complete retard. You thought that these had been through the method? No, mate, they're just descriptions of things that occur always. You thought that was science? Why did you think that, you idiot? What an idiot! Why are you so stupid?
I'm not, though. I'm just asking questions and you're not answering.
No, you declared that there was science. That's not asking a question. That's making an incorrect declaration that highlights your stupidity, mate. Why are you so stupid was my question. Why are you so thick to declare that natural law's science? How stupid are you? Obviously a globe believer to be this stupid. Why did you think it was science, you idiot? It isn't.
How can you verify?
Why are you asking me something, you complete idiot? I'm asking why you'd be so stupid as to claim natural law science. Why are you so stupid, globe believer? Why are you having to be corrected by a flat earther?
Why are you muting my question every time?
My question is, why are you so stupid to declare natural law as science? Why are you so thick?
So can I ask my question or not?
Well, you can tell me why you're so stupid as to declare natural law as science first. Why are you so thick to declare natural law as science? Why are you so stupid? It's wrong, you stupid idiot. Why are you having to be corrected by flat earthers? I'm a flat earther. People think I'm thick and yet I know it's not scientifically valid. Why don't you know that?
Why they would think that?
Why are you talking over me? Why don't you know what I know as a flat earther? Why is it that you're less intellectually educated? Why is it that you don't know this and I do? Thicko, I'm asking you something.
Is your name Nathan or Dunning-Kruger?
Are you deaf, Thicko? I'm asking you why you don't know this. Why don't you know that...
I'm actually...
Stutter for me, share your pain, bitch. Yeah, I love it. Why don't you know this, moron? Why are you having to be educated by flat earthers? It's an embarrassment.
I have a question for you.
Go on, Owen.
As a fellow Dutchman, I just wanted to know if Ed is officially declared retarded in my country, because there's no way that this guy with what he's doing, dude, you're embarrassing yourself so badly. Doesn't really matter from what angle, what belief you're looking at. You're just being absolutely stupid.
Right.
I am really embarrassed as a
Arwin. Yeah, so Arwin, if you go to YouTube and type in the search bar, Arwin angry.
Sorry, he asked you a question, and you don't have to disclose your medical, certification if you do have one. He's just querying.
Look it up.
We just want to be a bit more gentle on you. Are you medically retarded? If so, we'll be a bit more gentle with you.
Right. And I'll admit that I do get kind of angry sometimes, and that is on YouTube, right? But I'd rather be angry.
That's an understatement.
It's too stupid. Low
I'd
intellect,
rather be
Darwin.
known as angry than a retard. So that's okay.
Yeah, you seem like you've got a very low intellect, my friend. I mean, it comes to something when a flat earther's got to tell you something in excess of 100 times that's factually true, and you won't accept it, even though you've declared it.
And
why, when it's being educated,
a simple question
you talk through
from
them and claim you're being muted?
Retard.
Maybe claim you're being muted. Maybe claim you're being muted? I don't know. Maybe claim while you're talking through me that I mute you.
Because that's what you
Share
do
your pain.
often.
Project that onto me a bit more. Maybe while I'm still talking, do it a second time to project it onto me. Maybe project it onto me a third time and then claim I'm muting you. Why don't you do that, Ed? Yeah, I'm still talking. I'm still in the middle of a sentence.
You can't answer
yeah, share your
question.
pain. Share your pain. Yeah, I'm still talking, Ed. Share your pain through the top of me with your funding button that you
Share
need.
your pain.
Yeah, you need,
Please.
because you can't
I'm
answer
waiting.
our question because you're mentally retarded. I think we've established that. Only somebody.
So we've established
you're still
that you
talking.
can't
Fundy
answer the
mute.
question
Fundy
from a
mute time.
retard.
Fundy mute. Right, Ed? Why do you ask me if I'm muting you when you're constantly doing it? New question.
You can't answer the question from a supposed retard. Isn't that sad?
I've just asked a new question. Why is it that you managed to ask that question unimpeded, yet every single time I ask you a question, you interrupt it before I get to the end of my statement? For example, if I'm to ask you why it is the case that me, factually accurate, has to educate you and attempt with humour, calling you a bad dog. It doesn't seem to matter what tact I take. You won't accept your own incorrect declaration that natural law's been through the scientific method. That's your declaration. You feel that when I point that out to you, you need to start asking me about how natural law operates when we're pulling apart your incorrect assertion that natural law's been through the method. That's wrong. Now, I'm not going to move on. I don't want to discuss anything else. I want to highlight to my audience that when you've got a globe belief, like Ed here, you will make these assertions, incorrectly so, and be corrected by the wiser, better informed flat earthers, and will labour that point for an audience indefinitely, because it demonstrates just how stupid you globe believing people are. Like Ed, he's a good example. So I'm grateful to Ed. I'm grateful that he fundy mutes me. I'm grateful he fundy mutes me. I'm grateful he examples how they fundy mute me. I'm grateful that he projects his muting onto me while I'm still explaining that I'm grateful to Ed for his excellent, exceptional demonstration of his dogged determination to not concede a single point when he's wrong. Now, he's often wrong. He's a globe believer. He'll often, therefore, project his fundamentalist religious zealot mute button that he's using right now. He'll project that onto me. And he will never concede the incorrect assertion he has made here. Because he's got a globe belief. That's what it does to you people. If you were to take that to the nth extreme, rather than accept the obvious and observable flat nature of our reality, you'd end up like Ed. And I want to show that to people. How stupid it makes you look if you've got a globe belief like Ed.
Okay, so how can you verify it's a valid description of stuff that always happens and how it happens?
I didn't. It's not my description. I've already answered that question. But I haven't declared it's scientifically valid as you have. You're yet to concede that. You'll never concede that. You're a fundamentalist religious zealot. And it doesn't matter if I do this 400 times, you will never concede your incorrect declaration of science where none has been applied. You won't do that. You'll ask me how I justify natural law that isn't mine and I haven't claimed in this instance. I'm not claiming that it's been through the scientific method. I'm not fundy muting you while you talk. I'm just pointing out that you've claimed it's science when it isn't. All it is a description of something that occurs always, without exception. And it's describing that which occurs always, without exception. And it doesn't validate that it always occurs. It always occurred and therefore got a description. It's not science. You declared that. You were wrong. But because you're a globe believer, you can't accept that.
You talked about natural law when you talked about the container.
That's correct. That's correct. Free expansion into a container of volume. The gas will fill the availability of volume as per the second law of thermodynamics, which describes free expansion. It also describes it with availability of microstates. If the sky was a vacuum, that would be a huge number of available microstates for the gas to occupy, and occupy it will. It's easy to demonstrate. We have, in fact, demonstrated it on multiple occasions. You open a valve between a vacuum and a gas pressure, and it fills the space. It happens always. So much so that people will make declarations as follows. Nature abhors a vacuum. Nature doesn't want a vacuum to exist. If there's a vacuum, the gas wants to fill it. It's something that occurs always, and has therefore warranted a description. Not an establishment of cause. That was what Ed claimed when he said it was science. He was just wrong. It doesn't mean that because it's not scientifically valid, even though nobody's giving you a cause, which is what science gives you, it doesn't mean it doesn't occur always. It does. And the fact that it's been described, he thinks somehow invalidates our claim that if the sky was a vacuum, then the gas we breathe would fill the space. Even though that's inviolable natural law demonstratable always.
If you can't verify it always happens.
It is verified. We can verify it. We have demonstrated it. It's merely described in the second law of thermodynamics. And if you want me to show you gas pressure filling and availability of volume, I can do that, Ed. It's still not science, though. It's just something that occurs always and has a description. We don't know the cause.
Yeah, it describes what happens.
Yeah, we don't know the cause. You said it was science and we don't know the cause. It's just something that occurs always and we don't know the cause. You claimed it was science. You're a moron. Why would you assert it was science when it's not?
Then how can you...
Don't ask me a question. Tell me why you would assert this as science when it's not. Howard, hello?
It is.
It's not. It's not been through the method. We've not got a cause. It's not had a viable hypothesis. It's not had systematic experimentation to back up the cause that was assumed in the hypothesis. None of that has happened. Natural law's not science. You're fundamentally retarded. I'm done with this. Any other comments from the panel, then I'm going to close out the show.
Well, I just wanted to know, did he ever have physics or chemistry in school? Ever? Like, did you go to school at all? Because these things are all commonly explained. You don't have to be brilliant to get it. Are you making yourself retarded?
Don't ask him any questions.
You're doing this to yourself. It
comments,
seems very painful
summaries.
to be like this to me.
Just comments and summaries, no questions.
No.
Anything else? Any more for any more?
No, he made the after show very painful.
As I say, not painful. I wouldn't keep it going if this was painful for me. If it was painful for you, I apologise. For me, that's why the show's ended up being a 2.25 hour show rather than a 2 hour show. Excellent. Feel free to demonstrate your abject stupidity as a globe believer and proponent here. More than willing to show that to an audience.
4 more hours.
4 more hours, no.
I'm not complaining, but it was painful.
I'm sorry, no more 4 more hours. It's not going to be. With that, I am going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. Of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
what a day! What a lovely day!